Hey everybody. Let me just check. I am good. I actually made this video already and it was great, I thought. And I didn't have this turned on. And if this is on me and I think it's turned on and I have the receiver in, it's a completely silent video. So I had to actually do the thing that I was discussing in the video to bring me back. Okay, so first of all, if you're new here, my name is Tara Woodruff. This is Tara Woodruff After Hours. This is one of my YouTube channels where I discuss life after 50, basically the second part of my life. I talk about everything from my way of eating, to art, to God, to philosophy, to manifestation, and all those things. And if you're not new, welcome back. I'm excited to have you here either way. And so today I wanted to talk about this. And I'm going to bring up something that may trigger a lot of emotions for you. And that's okay, because it's important for us to kind of wrap our heads around those little things, because they're really important for achieving our goals and manifesting what it is we want in our lives. And I think this example is super poignant right now. And I wanted to go ahead and illustrate more upon it. So this video is going to be in the Successful Human playlist. Right now, we are watching, or some of us are watching, or some of us are trying not to watch for various reasons, the Senate hearings with Dr. Anthony Fauci. Now, you saw my attitude right there. All of us have some sort of attitude, whether you are still a believer in everything he's ever said, or if you're one of the people that did believe what he said in the beginning and now are really angry, or the people that knew all along and just want to see justice done. And what I want to point out here is what's happening is it's like a second part of the experiment. I am fully aware that in 2020 we were experimented upon by the fallen ones, and they used fear, anxiety, hopelessness, and all that stuff on the entire world. The only people that didn't have a problem with it were people that totally subtract themselves from news and any kind of media whatsoever. Okay? So here we are, and we've been through that experiment together. And now we're being reintroduced to that same experiment from a different angle, and it is on purpose, I'm pretty sure. So why is it important that we talk about that real quick? And I want it to be real quick because I want to get into the reality of the situation. It's rage bait, and it's meant to bring about some really serious emotions, because I am a firm believer in the fact that the fallen ones need us to feel a certain way so they can get energy from us. And the more we feel a certain way, whether it's fear, anger, that's where they get their energy from. So they're re-experimenting with that, using this person that was prominent in that first experiment. And let me see. A lot of us want to see justice done, and that means there's got to be judgment, yes? This is something that we are warned about again and again in the Bible, and probably in other religions. I don't like to call it a religion because I am not affiliated with any particular religion. I am a believer in Jesus Christ and God Almighty. Again and again, it's told, not for us, judgment is not for us, that is for God. Okay? Yet we have it. We have the ability to have judgment, whether it's right or wrong. We do have that ability. So how do we manage that? Because if we want to get ourselves into a position that's different from where we're at, we've got to develop contentment, joy, and gratitude. And it's really hard to do that when you're running on fear or anger or resentment. Really hard. Just ask yourself. It's true. It's really difficult. And I think that it's all time for us to really tap into our inheritance from God and really start creating what it is we really want. And one thing that's really confusing about that for a lot of people, and it catches us up, is that when we dislike something or we have a negative judgment of something, it is a clarification for the things that we do prefer. It is a clarification of the things we do not want and the things that we rather have. So how do you do that? How do you round that corner? How do you take the edge off of that and allow God to be the judge and allow us to understand that we have something we don't like in our lives? How do we do that? It's not easy. That's why I called this video, It's Going to Be Hard, because I think it's going to be a little challenging. Now, hard is probably a harsh word. It may be tapping into that rage bait thing. I don't know. So I've talked about previously, I'm looking at notes that I have, and I've also got notes in my phone that I'm going to put in the description that I had on my drive that I wanted to make this video. And I had points that I was coming up in my head, like write this down, and I didn't have it bad, blah, blah, blah. Work with what you got, right? I am going to get a notebook specifically for travel so that I'm not using my phone for that, because I don't really, it's something I prefer not to do, right? So we've already discussed that in order to achieve our goals and manifest the things we desire faster, um, is to be in a state of contentment, not have a lot of strong feelings either way. Also, once we achieve the goal, because we're supposed to be progressively more powerful as we go and more joyful as we go, by the time you achieve a goal that you have today, you achieve that goal tomorrow, you're almost not supposed to be overly like, wow. You're almost supposed to be kind of nonchalant about it, aloof about it. That does not mean that it takes away the joy or the gratitude from it. It just means that you had faith that it was going to happen anyway, and you're not really surprised that the mountains were moved for you. If you understand your inheritance, you understand that. So, but there's a reason why we need to have the joy and contentment. Because when we create and when we set a goal or an ideal that we want, the best way to do it is to do it from the end, like God. He created from the end. We can create from the end with his help and our angels. And the best way to do that is to remember achieving that goal and being able to add the positive emotion to that remembering so that it speeds up. Okay? So we're going to get into a little bit here, like a third of the angels fell, right? The rest of them did not. All of them have a job, and they can't vary from it. We have also received an inheritance with Jesus Christ. And it's really important that you start to get to understand that. I think so. I think so. It's important for me. And so the angels that did not fall are actually really focused on us. And they're awaiting our direction and our command, because that's their job. Some people may like to think that this isn't true, but I'm going to say it is. Pretty much everything that we're experiencing, it all revolves around us humans. The third that fell are trying to influence us, and they're very good at it. And they've gotten better at it over the years because we've kind of fallen apart a little bit about things. Some things that are convenient are actually not, and all that fun stuff. We can get into that. That's not the point of this video, though. The point of it is the rest of them did not fall, and their job is to take care of us, because we are a manifestation of God himself. Some trains of thought like to make you think that you're small or insignificant. And you'll be able to recognize them when you feel like, oh, my life is just a blip. I'm just a small hiccup. What happens to me doesn't really matter. I beg to differ. What happens to you does matter. It's huge. Even if somebody else right next to you doesn't see it the way you see it, they feel it the way it's felt. It is there. It is in the hum of the world. So everything that you experience and everything that you feel is true. So how do we keep ourselves in a contentment state where we're constantly be reminded of things that we dislike and we have judgment on, so that we can produce what we prefer? And we wouldn't even have what we prefer in our mind if we didn't have the things that we don't prefer. God talks about this a lot in the Bible. This is a lot in a lot of different places about reserving judgment, letting him do that, and finding yourself in a place of contentment. So when you find yourself watching those hearings, and no matter what place you come from, in your opinion on the subject, you're having a strong feeling. How do you round that off? How do you not allow that to dominate your thoughts and your feelings so that you can continue to move on to what you prefer? And that's by isolating the situation and releasing your judgment on it. It takes the bite out of the storm. And it's not hard. I just said it's not hard, so maybe that's true. Maybe it's easier than we think. Some of us call ourselves empaths, where we just emotionally can't move through things easily. Some of us that are human actually aren't empathetic and just are kind of funky. Whatever that means, I don't know. Some people don't find it brutally difficult to even have those kind of things going on. Where I feel that we need to be in order to create those things that we desire and that we are here for is to let God be the judge, and to also remove fear from our thoughts. So in regards to that particular situation, it's time to practice removing your thoughts and your feelings from it. That might mean you don't watch. That might mean you pay it no mind. Because whatever they're doing by bringing it back up is probably not in your best interest. The division that it creates is just wild. So we've got to develop skills on how to remove our judgment from things. We don't need to ignore the fact that we have it. We do. We have opinions, and we're allowed them. But it's really important to also realize that we're not just a blip. That blip is the world. You're not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean. So one thing I've been working on lately, because I've been having, in my own experience, a little higher level of anxiety, and like I miss my dog, you know, and it's not something that I should be upset about. It's I'm doing the best thing for her at this time. She's at my daughter's house. She's having trouble getting up and down the stairs, and if she falls, it's probably the end. And if I fall with her, it's both of us, you know? So I made the decision, and my daughter, thank God, lives close, and I can see my dog. And my dog is having a better time having 4 stairs to go up to her to a place to rest than she would here, even though she misses me and I miss her. Those things right now are just something we need to round the edges on, right? And that was obvious what to do. However, it doesn't stop me from having the feels. And as I come up the stairs, I can still hear the sound of her tags changing or jinging and jangling. So I've been working on that, rounding those corners and using a tool, because I like to use art a lot. You don't even have to like art. This kind of thing is probably really beneficial. But I created this morning to bring me to the place where I could actually come and have this video with you and to have a more sane mind. And I did that while drinking coffee. I'd say it took about an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's not done yet. I'm going to add water to it to make it more of a watercolor. But there are other methods. Um, Cleaning is a really good one, because you're making something, you're in the physical process of rewiring your neurons to make something better than it was, and you do it without judgment. So if there's anything in your life that you want better than it is right now, the best way to get there is to move through it without judgment. That means forgiving yourself, radical forgiveness of yourself. Forgiveness of others without judgment doesn't mean that, you know, you're going to start a fan club in sympathy for that guy that's dealing with the bed he made at all. It just means that you're not going to allow a harsh reality in your brain to come forward and give it any more energy than it already has, than it already got. And that's easier said than done. I know this. I'm not trying to negate your feelings. Your negative feelings are just as important as your positive feelings. The thing is about that is that our positive feelings need to be our shell, and our negative feelings need to be let through the shell and given to God so he can make his judgments. So how do we create that state of more contentment, especially in that situation or any situation you may be experiencing right now? I can use I miss my dog really bad. I even offered to go pick her up today because she had a tough night. Like, and my daughter's like, "God, no, you're fine." I'm like, "Okay." Like, oh my gosh, all those things. How do we get there? And this becomes easier as you do it more often. And the idea is to add more memories to your contentment, joy, and gratitude all the time. For instance, when you eat your meals, turn off your phone. If you have your family with you, talk with them while you're eating. If you don't, hang out with God while you're eating. And think about every bite and enjoy every bite, even when you're not a big fan of the meal. That happens even for me, and that's rare. But when it happens, it's what it is. And I still bring joy to it because I realize that this is pretty cool. That I'm able to process a food and heal my body with it. It's like God is cool like that. One of the things that I love to do that I've talked about a lot is I like to go down dirt roads and drive dirt roads. I don't off road right at this point. I've done small off roads, but they're not off roads, they're just unmaintained, where you got to go like really slow and the vehicle kind of goes like that over spots. I don't even do that right now. Dirt roads are good for me right now. So today, as I was getting ready to come this way, get home, and still working through my kind of like tumultuous gut, I pulled onto the dirt road and I looked out across the field, which right alone is just amazing, and see the wood line on, I would guess you would call a hill. It's not quite a mountain. It's part of the rolling parts of Vermont. And to see all the different textures of all the different trees on that hill and the different colors and how incredibly beautiful, just beautiful, that one little blip of a view that I see. And I carry that with me as I keep going down the road. And I keep looking around at the fields. And right now, there's some little wispy things growing in the hay fields that are cool. I don't know what they are. I think they're clover. There's, there's some parts of the forest. I think there was some heavy wind where you could see that trees have been knocked down inside the wood line. And you have these open spots of sun hitting the ground inside the forest. Then you have some people that manage their forests with an arborist, and they actually prefer not to have a lot of wild animals directly around their house. So what you can do is you can manage your forest. You pull all the dead stuff out of the forest, and you keep it relatively well maintained so that you could walk through the forest without having a lot of underbrush. That's what primary forests used to look like before we started cutting them down. Now they grow back with a lot of tangling because they want to stop us from doing that, because trees have thoughts too, and they're powerful manifestors as well. So some people, if you ever look at an arborist website, it'll say there's 3 stages to management of your forest. And one of them is directly around your house. If you want, it's expensive. You can have that forest maintained where you could literally just walk through the trees and run into virtually nothing but the trees. And deers will come not so close to your house. Especially in hunting season, they will avoid cleared tree areas like that. Then you can get into managed forests where you just have the dead stuff pulled out to prevent fire from coming in. If you live in a place where fire could happen, and fire could happen anywhere, especially these days. And then you could have forest where it's just trails are maintained, but not all the forest, and the wild things are allowed to grow and roam and be. So there's different levels of that, and that is kind of like significant when it comes to our lives. And when I'm driving down the road, I'm noticing these things about how nature does that itself. And I'm noticing the places where people have managed their forests to the point where they don't want the bears coming through to their yard. They are not interested in that because the bears are getting your garbage around here. It's not going to necessarily stop a bear all the time. I do believe we have a bear hunting season, so they will be more aware of that in those times. That's really taken me off. Being able to recognize all those beautiful things that happen, even just driving down a road, is just so wonderful for you when you're going to reach a goal and you're manifesting that goal. Because you're going to attack that goal from a place of already receiving. You're going to say, thank you so much, dear Heavenly Father. You remember that day when I finally dot, 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 dot. How great that felt, just how amazing that was. I just want to thank you so much because that day was just unbelievable. Thank you so much. You're going to achieve way faster that way. I think the angels hear you that way as well. I'm sure of it. And then you create that aloof spot when you hit the goal because you already knew it was going to happen. Obviously, you've already thanked you thanked for it as if it happened. You feel that joy and you feel that contentment and you feel that, and then you're on to the next thing. We're supposed to be progressive in that way. We're supposed to want more as we go for different reasons. Hopefully, your reasons are whole and they honor God, right? Some people say, well, why would somebody that has $1 million need 2 million? Or why would a billionaire need another 10 billion? Well, I don't know. I don't think it's not your business. We as humans, if you're really a human, are supposed to increase what we do and how we do it and for the glory of God. So when you're surrounded by adversity in your life and nasty feelings and you judge and you're feeling like you need vindication for something and you know that spot to be in mentally and spiritually is not going to help you get to where you need to go, and if you don't know it, just take a look back at every time that things failed in your life. It's going to be something that's going to stand out to you that you allowed your mind to focus on, and that's when the enemy has his way with your life. How do you develop that feeling and that prayer where you're calling in your inheritance if you don't collect all those feelings of joy and wonder and awe and gratitude along your way? Super important. If somebody out there has read the book of Job, I have, but I can't remember this verse. I can't pinpoint it, and I didn't look it up just before this video. If you do look it up, put the verse in the comments, and if I find it before you, great, I'll put it in the description. At one point, Job said, "These are the things I feared the most. These are the things I feared the most." And when you realize that Satan noticed Job was so good and so virtuous, and he asked God, "Let me play with him." God said, "Go ahead. I have faith." He's got faith. It's going to be okay. I'm getting chills. And Job's life got really, wow, something you and I might not ever be able to do, and we don't even want to think about. It got bad. And Job didn't lose faith, but he had an opening that Satan saw and that drew his attention to it, and that he had a great fear. And his greatest fear was losing his loved ones, losing everything. He was terrified of it. And he worked really hard to maintain it and have gratitude and all that. He did all those things. But that fear was still really strong. And that's how Satan got in. It wasn't because he was permissioned into it, because that fear was there. So if you could find that verse where he says that, I think it's important. A third of the angels fell. And the only way they get any energy for your life is with fear and anger. Do your very best in any way you can to feel joy, gratitude, and contentment. Whether you draw a bunch of circles on a piece of paper, meditate, you do that and meditate, read the Bible, take a shower, dance in the rain, go for a swim, go for a nice long walk, cut your lawn and smell the smells, go out and touch a tree. Whatever brings you to that, hold it. And whenever a fear or judgment or anger comes up, wash it with your gratitude. Wash it with that. Don't let that be your predominant thought or feeling. Work hard on that. That's why I said it's hard. A lot of people are moving around this earth right now that are not facing things that were hurtful, traumatic. And we're letting those pockets in our souls sit there and fester. And those are like portals into our reality. And I think Carl Jung talks about this a lot. Doing that shadow work is important. It's not about immersing yourself in sadness. It's about allowing yourself to have it and releasing the judgment that you have it and releasing the judgment of those that were involved with it and giving it to God and claiming your inheritance. You don't ask for things to get better. You claim it. And you give the fallen ones smaller and smaller portals. Oh my gosh. By dealing with those shadows and letting them go. Doesn't negate the thing. What it negates is the power it has over you. So, I hope that this video is helpful to you. I am going to put what I put in my notebook on my phone into the comments because I think there's more there too. I just can't read it right now because I'm on the phone with you. And yeah, it's really intense. I'm going to send you off to a couple of videos too. I'm going to add them to the description. And I also have a deep desire to read the Lost Gospels of Thomas. And so, yeah, that's what I got so far. I've been listening to a lot of, I think it's Dan Donahue, Neville, of course. I love Neville. Doing a lot of neurographica art and painting. And when I'm doing this neurographical art, I'm either in silence or I'm listening to something that reminds me of the truth. Because I think we already all know what to do. We just forget. It's time to remember. I love you all a long time. I'll see you on the other side. Thank you very much. Goodbye.